Okay. We're recording now. All right. Mr. Anthony, Mr. Hipful.
Hello. Yes.
All right, so this one's for Zach. Trying to learn how to draw zones. You're good with definitions. How do you define zones?
Ooh, a zone.
Yeah.
I would have to say a zone is where price struggles to break through, at certain levels. So you'll see, if you go to any time frame, you'll notice price hitting either a resistance or a support. And it just keeps going to break. And eventually it will. But that's where you apply your zones at.
Mm-hmm. Is support and resistance and zones different for you?
Basically, support and resistance are like, for me, that's how I plot my zones. Like, it's purely support and resistance.
Yeah. I think it's pretty much the same for me. Like, I used to draw a lot bigger zones, like with boxes, but now I've been doing lines and then just use kind of like a tolerance, like above or below.
Okay.
Like I used to, like when I first started, use boxes because it was just better visually. And like if it's a wider range, then I'll use a box. But like say this line right here, like I don't really think that you could draw. Like that's a pretty solid line because you've got.
Yeah.
Where is my little brush tool here? Okay. But so you've got like the touch there, and then there. So to me, like where I draw my zones, and even kind of there too, it is like where I put my line is where there's a lot of multiple touches at, and that's kind of like what I got from Ted, I'd say, and then for like Rakeel for a zone, I feel like it'd probably be, or his lines would probably be something similar to that because he uses the average wick range.
Yeah.
So like that's where I'll normally try and put like a line. It's kind of like at that average range of that.
See, those right there are pretty straightforward. Is this GJ? Yeah, GJ trends really, really nicely.
Yeah, it follows zones really nicely for me. Because like you can see like this last one, like this last multiple touch where it broke through, like came down to retest, and then it's just continuing up now.
Yeah. See, this would be a good place to draw a line. If I were to draw a box, it would probably be.
See how
Let me undo that real quick. See, for me, it'd be something like this. Just because, like, that's a high.
Okay, yeah.
Situation. Like, yeah. When I draw boxes, I try to make them as small as possible. That way, it's very similar to a line, but like I concentrate on that better. And then it's like a give and take. It can be below that or above that.
Yeah.
But if I get like a clear, like let's say you see price going, it's going down, and if it comes up to retest, obviously it's going to be a resistance. But if we get like a clear close above, like here, then now this is support.
Yeah. After you've got a candle close above it with a body above it, like what I normally look for is for a break, or if I think that something is going to break, is I'll kind of like arrow over it and then look for the other candle. So like this one has a body close,
Yeah.
where there's wicks, like where previously we've just had a bunch of wicks. So like that's normally pretty solid for me, but with like GJ, like since it's best to wait for the retest, like that drawdown was, since this is a 4 hour, like 40 pips.
Yeah.
So you have to wait for that retest instead of just, because like I used to just like get it like when it would break out, and then it would always like retrace on me. So that's like one reason why I'm kind of weary with pending sometimes, is because of that. Like if I'm live trade, or if I'm not live trading, but if I'm in front of my computer screen, I'm gonna take the execution and wait for the retest. But if it's like, overnight, or like a session when I'm not actively in front of the chart, then I would put a pending. But that's why I stopped doing pendings, because I did it a couple times with like pretty good success, and then I had a couple times where I would get stopped out like that.
Okay.
So I don't know. And then, so like I think these two would probably be like my major lines, but in between that, like I think there's definitely trying to remember where I had it. I think it was something like that, like for a more minor one, more minor zones.
Okay.
So see, that's perfect for a minor zone pretty much. So like, yeah, I'll start off with like 4 hour, and then I'll work my way down to the hourly, and then I try and have two charts open so I can kind of see multiple time frames.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can see like these like kind of FTR things, or like retests that happen, and then a lot of my zones will like end up coming down and correlating with the EMAs.
Okay.
So for me, like the multiple time frames is really, really important. Just because we might have like an exhaustion candle like right here or something like that.
Yeah.
And then going down the lower time frames, you'll start to see the chart patterns. And that's like what I think that's what changed like a lot of my trading, is that I would see a zone, or we would come into an area kind of around here, and then I would go down to the lower time frame, and I would see, like a double bottom, or a really, really strong rejection wick, and then like confirmation candles that it was going the other way, like within that candle right there.
Yeah.
And then so since we were at a major zone, it was really good signal that we were going to be going to zone. So like for this one, like that whole zone to zone right there, just for that next minor one's like 60 pips. So if you're going for 10, 12 pips, it's really easy to go. So for me, like I don't really wait for confirms as much, because if this was my line and I put a stop, below this, it might be like 10, 13 pips for, a lot more than that. I always try to keep my risk to reward like 1 to 1 or 1 to 2, but I won't take as many confirms, because if I get in on that kind of like wick entry, I won't have to have as big of a stop, because if we break it really hard, then we're probably just going to go the other way, and I don't have as big of a stop. And so if we do break it, then I can just take that entry if I want to in the other direction.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So like and I asked Rakil about that when we met up with him. I was like, do you wait for confirms? And he said the same thing, like your stop can be a lot less if you don't take confirms. And if you're at a major 4 hour support or resistance, like why not?
Okay. Yeah, because I can see where you plotted that at.
Yeah. So
that lower time frame.
Yeah. Versus like Ted, he always waits for those confirm candles. But for me, like I've gotten screwed over sometimes waiting for the confirms. That's why for support and resistance, I don't mind taking.
Look at the 4 hour. You definitely have like, make that less wide. You definitely have these hits here, and if price has been away from that support, our resistance for a while, and it comes back, it always seems to just tap.
Yeah, And like on the first time that it comes back to like a support or resistance, like it always will reject for at least like 10 pips, like when on the first time that it comes back. So so like even this last one that you have there, like say that it found support again, and then the next time that it comes over right there, like even if it would have continued down, like it's at least over 10 pips. Does that make sense? Kind of.
Yeah.
Or like here, I think this is a better example. So from like this one to that. So like that's, if you look left, is the support that it found from earlier, kind of like an FTR almost.
Yeah.
And then when it comes back to it the first time, it just like immediately rejects off of it. Versus like when we did finally break through, there's, you know, like a lot of multiple hits in the same support and resistance area. So it's been hit a lot. So like this first touch compared to like this over here.
Yep.
So like when it comes right back to it, it like rejects and then goes all the way down. And even kind of the one that's a little to the left of it kind of did that too.
Yep.
Versus like, you know, after we've hit this several times and tried to come up and retest it, then we finally break out of it. It's kind of got that accumulation like right here. And you start seeing those higher highs and higher lows and like the bullish closes and engulfings and all that stuff.
I mean, you can also see the candles are closing where those wicks were tapping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
exactly. Kind of signaling a reversal. Yeah. Go to the daily real quick. Yeah, if you look at the daily, we had this, you know, major support right here. Oh, wait. That's not what I wanted to do. All right. So we had, this major support right here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can see where a lot of wicks like went and tapped that daily wicks.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of in confluence with the 200 EMA. It's a little further away from it. But
and then and for me, after two candle closes, that's, you know, the trend's going to be bullish now. So the trend's going to be reversing on the lower time frames. That's why this wick fill here is a pretty safe trade to take, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, if you look over on the lower time frames, like, you know, you've got the crosses and everything's pointing up. That's the other thing that I look a lot for the smaller time frames is I just look for like a cross to signal momentum.
Yep.
So like if it's, but it really depends, because if it's like all this stuff right here, like where it's sideways, I don't even pay attention to EMAs. But
yeah,
if it's like this other stuff, like where you know all the EMAs are more like in confluence with the zones, that's when I like will definitely take a trade without confirms, because if an EMA and a zone is in confluence, you know, like if my line's lining up when it's coming back to retest something and go up, like I'll take that.
So right here, look at it. It's kind of like where like the daily started. So you
where
had
you looking? Okay.
So you had like your your drawback, and then usually if you're like at a support level, then take that entry and then go for that wick fill.
Yeah, depending on the time. Yeah, with the daily wick fills, like it always will come back down to retest the zone and like continue with that, because that daily candle that we had before that was super strong. So I would definitely see.
So this right here, if you look, this is the wick we want to fill.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have your, you know, your support. If you look at it, I can kind of see like a support area here. And it comes down to retest and comes back up.
Yeah, that's why I try and use like wick ranges like with support and resistance, because then that's that range that you're trying to fill from support or resistance.
Yep.
And then like even for me, like I probably wouldn't take the, just because we have that cross down, I probably wouldn't take it until we start like retesting like this EMA and going up. Like once we cross up.
Yeah, even if you look, you just look left because you have that minor zone. You have this, minor pullback here, and as it starts to come up, even there would be a good place to take a trade.
Yeah.
Because you're still looking to fill the wick.
And that's around. So right now it's around 7. So 6, 5, 4. That was around 3 o'clock. So I mean, that's kind of a dead time for me that I wouldn't really trade. But
Usually,
say last hour, like I think this is about where the time that I would normally take a trade. So like if I had this line over here, this was about I think like 6 p.m. for us, which is a really good time for me to get into the daily wick fills. And you see that we like broke through that resistance that's to the left, and then came down and retested it and it's in confluence with the 14 EMA.
Yeah.
So like that over there breaks up, comes down, and then that line's in confluence with there, and then it just goes up.
Now,
So like that's a trade that I would take a lot, just because at that time, like we still had, I guess we didn't have a wick from there, but like with all that momentum that's going up in the retest.
Now for me, when I start the day off, usually around 4:30, 5 o'clock Central Time, I want to plot out what's going on with the daily. So obviously, if you look at the daily, today we have this, support here. We're now in bullish momentum. So the only trade I'm going to be looking for today is
buys. Yeah, same. I only look for one, like if I'm looking for buys, like I'll probably just look for buys that day, unless we just like destroy a support or resistance and then we retest it and go the other way. And then like if my analysis is completely wrong with it, we start going that other way, I might take the trade, but I just, for a session, will take 1 or 2 trades. And I'll just try and like look, like if our momentum's up, like I'm just going to buy support.
Yep. Now, also too, I mean, like today, getting that wick fill, I mean, that would be easy. I would just be weary of the EMA here, because like this will act as like dynamic support and resistance. So the closer we get to it, the less likely I'll be, inclined to take
the buys. Yeah, but I mean that's going to be like a good like target point kind of. I mean it's
that's a good like TP area. Having your TPs,
or at least like range area. Maybe not necessarily TP, because I don't try and like fill an entire range. Like if I'm taking a trade and I have to fill the entire range for something, like I'm probably not gonna,
For me, I noticed like 30% is typically a good range to go for.
So like a little less than half. Yeah, that's not too bad.
So like say you have like a 50 pip range, and going for 20, I feel like that's pretty safe to take. 15 to 20 pips out of a 50 pip range. You're looking pretty comfortable.
I think for me, for like a zone that I would do like more of a box for when it's not so tight, would probably be more like this.
Okay, where the wicks are at.
Yeah, because like there's this like gap there,
See, for me, I feel like where I would put mine would probably just be like where the bodies are, and then like I can get in on a lot of like wick entries, just like off the major stuff sitting at.
Yeah,
it's just give or take, because I know it's not like set in stone where the support or resistance is at.
Yeah, you kind of have to see how price reacts once it gets to that level, because sometimes it will shoot up a little past that, and leave wicks. Those are a little tricky. That's why I like more of like tighter zones and stuff like that. Because I see some people that have like really wide zones, and I feel like I couldn't like get a really good entry off that. Or like sometimes I guess if I'm doing a zone, since these have a lot of wicks down here, and that's where that average wick range would kind of come into play for the bottom of the zone.
Yeah,
If that makes sense. Like
I definitely plot my my zones like how you just did just now. Is like the where the wicks have hit the most, without any bodies closing within that range.
Yeah.
So if you do have a body close within that wick range, you can pretty much tell there's a reversal going to happen.
Yeah, I like the ranges like this where they like go pretty well side to side, because like if we start breaking out like down below this, like you just have to look to the left like for forever. There's no like recent price, which drives me crazy. And then so like since we're going up here, it's like you can look to the left and kind of plan out trades. Like it's hard for me sometimes when we like go extreme one way or the other.
Yeah, and then you look left and there's like no fresh zones.
Yeah, because I do. Yeah, a lot of my trades are like these fresh zones now.
But yeah, like you said earlier, like spots like this, like
yeah,
lines up really, really well. I prefer these type of situations because I already know how price is going to react.
Or you have like an 80% like educated guess that you know what it's gonna do.
Mm-hmm. Now I know you like to do counter trends, like with like the EMA sometimes. Do you?
Well, because if it hits like this support right here, like I'm just gonna try and write it back to and that's
okay.
The 4 hour. So like for 4 hour or for 1 hour, I won't really do it as much. Like I normally will like if we hit a zone, I'll try and get the EMA magnet from like the 5 minute or the 15, because I don't aim for nearly like I'll aim for half the amount of pips that I would normally add or normally go for. So if I normally go for like 12 or 15, I'll go for more like 5 or 8 for the magnets.
It's recorded. All right, say hi, nigga 4X.
Hey, yo, what up, niggas? Wait, who's on besides?
There's just me and Kyle.
Okay, you guys are just testing that?
Yeah, we're doing one for Zach. And shit. Yeah, so like when you do like the EMA magnet, you kind of look for that exhaustion, and do you just like is it basically like out of zone when you notice the exhaustion?
Yeah, it'll be like a major zone to a minor zone.
Okay.
So I'm trying to find like
a good example.
I think this is like the example of it. So like this was that major zone there, and then so I would just want to go like to that EMA, that's still 17 pips. So like I probably wouldn't have even, I wouldn't even get that full range. I probably would have gotten more like 5 pips or 7 pips, like right there. Like I wouldn't even have to go all the way to the EMA for that one, or that would probably be like the 5 minute EMA or something like that. Just because it's counter trend, like I'm a lot more conservative with it.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of like if I ever do counter trend, it's 5 pips. That's all I go for.
It's basically not as much of a confirm with 5 pips. Like that one was a really strong candle, so I don't think I probably would have taken it just because that next bull candle was just so high up. But if it's something more like this one right here that you can see, I don't know if you can see my cursor. Sometimes it doesn't show up.
Hey, a quick note on counter trend. So, typically 5 to 10, or 5 pips is ideal. But like if it's London close, it's typically a big reversal counter trend. So that's a really good opportunity to get like 10 pips.
Yeah, at the end of and timing's big, like really important too. Like the end of an hour is like when it loses that volatility or momentum, or when it's trying to retrace a little bit, is a really good time. So I think this setup, I guess, was around like the beginning of the hour, 8:15. So beginning or end, but like that one right there, since the next candle closes down, I think that's still like 15 pips or whatever. But it like you've got like that doji candle, it's at a zone, and then you've got the engulfing candle, and then so my entry would be after that, and then down to the Yume. But that's like more advanced. Like for this, for Zach for this beginning, I just wanted to keep it like straight up like support and resistance, like the easiest, you know.
You definitely that's dude, honestly, but that would probably be one of the best things to do with that. It's cardio and it's you're like actively
Do you have anything else, Anthony?
Honestly, I don't have anything at the moment.
I mean, zones are pretty straightforward. Like it's just, you know, like the
I think it's just learning to identify zones.
yeah, maximum and minimum of like these consolidation points, and then like you'll have some small ones in between there, but like the biggest ones that I pay attention to, especially for like Zach, like just starting, would be like these major points from the 4 hour.
For me,
it's just the most reliable, like 4 hour support resistance.
I like to go like on the daily. I just kind of see how price is moving on the daily, and then I'll go down to 4 hour, and I'll like to mark key points. I'm noticing like price can't break through.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, if you look at the 4 hour, it's pretty clear where price is having problems breaking through with support and resistance. Honestly, this setup on GJ right now is really, really ideal.
Yeah.
And for me, if you know, price on this 4 hour breaks this area here, I'm looking for this to be like my target area. I feel like price will have a strong enough momentum to just keep going forward.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I really have to say with zones.
All right. Well, yeah, I kind of wish that Zach would have been able to get on here to like ask some questions for it, but
I think
I guess we'll just have him like watch this, and then
if he has questions,
and then he can ask questions, and then we can all get on and kind of like show our, you know, share our screens and
yeah, for sure. I'm definitely down for that.
Okay. Well, I'll just stop it here then.
All right, sounds good.
All right.